What's up, wealth builders? Today, I have got a real estate investor who has done thousands of deals, but his deals are a little bit different than your typical, flip a house, wholesale a deal, buy an Airbnb. Like, we've heard about all those things before, but this guy actually specializes in getting all of the nasty, dirty, litigious, lawsuits, everything. He finds ways to get deals that everyone is ignoring or don't know how to kind of make work. I've got Logan Fullmer. What's up, man?
How's it going, Ryan?
Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Yeah. So I kind of introed you, but give me a little bit of background about how the heck you even got to this point.
I was just this kid getting into trouble like everybody else, just didn't know where they're headed. Went to college and thought I was going to get rich and got out and got paid $36,000 a year working for my uncle and was like super disappointed in that.
What'd you get a degree in?
Business. My dad wanted me to be accountant.
Just general business.
Management. It's the easiest way to get out.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time networking in college. That was fun. I had a couple random jobs and I wound up in the oil field. I'd finally gotten like clean, sober, got my life together. And I actually inherited about $1 million like early on. So it was a big mess. I wasn't prepared for that.
How'd you inherit it?
Grandma passed away.
Got it.
Dad passed away right after. So like he didn't have a chance to blow the money, which he for sure would have.
Right.
Wound up in my hand. Me and my brother and sister just bought houses, Porsches, and lots of things that I shouldn't have bought at that time in my life. Long story short, it took me like 3 years to burn through over 7 figures as a mid-20s guy.
Wow.
Really stupid. Long story short, I get sober, finally go to the oil field. And I get to work out there and like learn to have self-confidence, self-esteem, value of hard work. I'm actually earning real money. Man, that was tough, dude. But it was a great place to be. And I wanted to try to get some more of that money that I had before.
Yeah. What's interesting? People like, they talk about, man, dude, my family had nothing, I'm starting from such a bad spot. And it's like, yeah, but you also get the chance to earn perseverance and go through trials and all these things. Then you like see these trust fund kids they're wrecks, dude, because they never had to work. They never earned anything. Like it was just all given to them and they blow it. And, for a lot of them, it just keeps coming. And so they never like have purpose. And then you're kind of like in between where you got some money and you blew it.
Well, the challenge there is, so I grew up, Dad, he was a CPA, but personality problems, alcohol problems runs in our family.
Yeah.
So he didn't really have much resources. So we were living, we've been evicted by the sheriff in my dad's seller finance house when I was getting off the bus and they're loading my stuff on the curb. Like I experienced that as a kid.
Yeah.
So we didn't grow up with much at all. Mom did the best when she was a single mom, wasn't great. But then all this money comes into her bank account. I wasn't prepared and I was in a bad place.
Yeah.
But having those tough times for sure is what allowed me to figure out I don't want this anymore. So that was one of the more important parts of anything for sure.
Yeah. So you go in the oil fields, you start like earning a living really for the first time.
Yeah.
How does that lead to real estate?
Dad was a CPA, and while he was a mess of a CPA, he did have these clients that were wealthy and they all had some sort of business that they owned it or real estate. And I thought maybe I want to do that. So I'm looking online, just trying to figure all that out. And I started going to San Antonio, so you got Midland and Odessa, 2 bigger oil fields in the world in Texas. And I ended up working out there. Well, I come to San Antonio every couple weekends, just getting a little time off.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to find I've saved up a couple $100,000 at this point. I'm scared to lose the money. Just like the first time it was just going quick. Now I'm like, I don't want to lose it. Living like a miser in a little RV.
Yeah.
Stacking up money. And I start to see the east side of San Antonio, these lots are $5,000. 7th largest city in the United States. I got a couple $100,000. I can buy a lot of these. But my biggest fear was the downside. I'd already had this money. I'd flipped a couple houses when I had the money in my bank account. Didn't last long, didn't do well because I made terrible decisions. And I was so worried about losing it. So I'm looking at this saying, this is an infill lot, single family, 5,000 square foot in the 7th largest city in the States. If I buy it for $5,000, what's the probability that goes down in value?
Low.
Right. My downside is severely limited.
Goes to 4.
Bingo. So I don't lose $5,000. I only have 1,000 at risk, not 5.
Yeah.
So I just, the addict in me goes deep. So once I decide this is it, I go knocking on doors, buy a couple dozen of them, blow my whole savings. And I'm hoping something happens. And
there was no reason why you chose land other than, dude, this is cheap and this is a big city. Like, let's just do it.
It was cheap and the taxes were low. I'd gone through financial problems in the past and the tax burden was like $200 a month a lot or $200 a year a lot.
Yeah.
So my job can pay these taxes all day long. I'll never risk losing these.
Yeah.
And I
Not like
should
a
never lose
rental
money.
where you do have a mortgage and, you know,
it's
more
work.
risk.
Like you
Yeah.
got to find these tenants. You know, I don't want that.
Yeah. So you buy all these
So
lots and what happens?
I get laid off. Well, I'm about to get laid off in the oil field, and this realtor calls me, makes an offer, 532 Dawson, one of the first ones I bought, for 10 grand, 190 grand. And I'm like, holy cow, like, is this real? And it was. He closed on it in a couple of weeks for his client. What I realized in those couple of years I'd owned those properties, the market had moved. This was in 2013, 14 range. So the market, remember, was recovering.
Yep.
Lots of off-market stuff happening in this neighborhood, but not much on market. And instantly I'd recovered almost the whole investment in this portfolio.
So wait, one lot sold for how much?
190. Now,
90.
I
thought you said he offered 10 grand.
No. I was in it for 10 grand.
You were in it for 10. He offered 190.
It was 2 lots, 5 and 5. I'm in the whole thing for about 10. I did spend about 10 grand rezoning it. I just thought, this is what people do. It increases value. I'll try it. I saw some big developers in it. So I went and did the zoning case myself. Dude offered me nearly 200 grand. I thought,
that's crazy.
yes. At that time, I thought, okay, like, I'm probably not a poor oil field hand anymore. I know there's value in this portfolio because I almost recapitalized from this one transaction. Like, I'm on to something. And then I got laid off.
Yeah.
At that point, there's a fork in the road. You know, this happened a lot of times in your life.
Yeah.
Am I going to go back to the oil field or am I going to do real estate?
So you choose real estate.
Bingo.
What happens from there? You just start selling off more of the lots, or you look for deals to redeploy?
It wasn't really clear cut at that point. I was a little nervous. I thought house flipping was still going to be a way to generate cash because I knew I could sell some of those lots, but I obviously have to replace this inventory. Otherwise, and it's not a business. I made a good investment, but once this is over with, like, what am I going to do to continue? So I started finding places like New Western and the local wholesalers, house flipping. And that was okay, but I needed some capital.
Yeah.
And while I had some money, I still had more equity than cash. And a dude that owned a lot next to me was like, hey, he's this local CPA, and said, hey, my clients are always looking for places to put money. So
Yeah. You're like, all right.
I go from flipping a $100,000 house to a $500,000 house. And the $500,000 house was a mess.
Yeah.
I lost 50 grand. And I'm finishing up and I'm coming out of pocket 50 grand to pay this lender at closing. I'm just so dissatisfied.
You're like, dude, I'm going back to land. This sucks.
Well, you know, that's actually part of the story.
Yeah.
So that happened about 6 months later, but I'm coming to the table and I'm closing, and that CPA is like, dude, I'm impressed. A lot of people would just run off. I'm like, what do you mean? I made this commitment. He's like, I like that. You want me to show you how to make real money? And I'm like, please. Because I had a plan and now I don't. So he said, let's go foreclosure auction. That was it, dude. He was buying them at the auction, putting a for sale by owner in the sign, selling them within a month for $20,000 to $50,000 markup.
Wow.
And he was running a CPA firm. He's a partner there. And he's like, look, I'm out of time. I was like, well, show me this model. Let's split it. Hand me the cash. I'll go do the work. Keep me from screwing up, and let's go 50-50.
Yeah.
So that was like the next rendition for 6 to 12 months, maybe.
So he funded all your deals. You just bought them at the auction, bought them right, did all the dirty work.
Yeah, but there was stuff about this that I didn't quite understand yet because I just hadn't been in it long enough. And it was nice. And, you know, his transactions that he was tax advising on were for like $100 million and $500 million transactions. So he was extremely sophisticated financially, super bright. So he taught me a lot about business that I hadn't learned yet, which was very important at the time.
Yeah. So you partnered up with him for like a year, and then I assume you had enough capital, or you kind of got the gist of it. Like, what happened?
You know, he and I still own the business together, 50-50.
Oh, you guys are still partners?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, my mom would get mad at me and she'd say, why are you giving up half your business? I'm like, Mom, I don't even have a business.
Yeah.
Anything I got's 50% better than nothing.
Yeah.
She didn't get that. Well, he had relationships like crazy. I don't know. I felt like I was going to be better with him. So I just kept going. But we'd come up with these ideas. Like, we were going to the auction and we used to buy one house or 3 houses a month. Then we'd go multiple months with no deal. Competition was happening.
Yeah. People were starting to catch on.
Bingo. So I started knocking on people's doors, asking to buy with the pre-foreclosure list. And I remember thinking, I was starting to sell some of the lots that I'd bought at the time too. And I thought, why don't I go buy some more of these lots? I'm in the same neighborhoods doing the foreclosure.
Right.
The problem I had is folks who used to say, sure, take it off my hands for $5 grand. No more of that. They were like,
Yeah.
It's worth 50. It's worth 100. So I remember doing 2017, sitting down at the end of the year, we're at this restaurant, me and him, and we're looking at the deals all year and asking ourselves, what were our best deals? And it was these random deals that had problems. And I wouldn't let any deal go because like I'm hungry. I got no money. I got some money, but it's relative.
Yeah.
So I'm hungry. And when 4 or 5 owners would show up, one of them would have a child support lien from not paying like baby mama child support. One of them got sued for not paying a credit card, all these problems they wouldn't sell. Those are the deals that hadn't yet sold in that part of town.
Right.
So at that time I would go back. I realized those were the best deals and thought, how can I get some more of these?
So
and that's when this little baby.
And what year was that?
2017.
So you start off buying land. It's pretty easy. Nobody's doing it. It's whatever.
Yeah.
You don't get lucky, but you just kind of wing it. And
I made some good choices and there was some luck. I couldn't recreate what happened. So
yeah, great timing, right?
Yeah.
And then you find this partner, and obviously you've been with them ever since. It's been great.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize, okay, foreclosures are kind of dying because less people are getting foreclosed on. Big hedge funds are coming in the door, buying up everything, right? I saw that in Vegas. I got started in Vegas in 2010 as a realtor.
Oh, you were right in the heat of it then. It was coming right after that.
Yeah, and Vegas had the most foreclosures in the nation. So I remember people would tell me about these auctions. And I mean, even on market in Vegas back in 2010, the average home was $100,000. That was
the average house now?
5. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it was crazy. And, with that, I just remember as a realtor, it sucked because you make 3%. Like I'm not an investor, and nobody could buy in 2010. Everyone had been foreclosed on. No one had capital.
Oh gosh.
You couldn't get listings because no one owned houses. It was all foreclosures. So like in Vegas, I think 90% of the listings were foreclosures. That was after they had already been through the auction and no one wanted
them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. So long story short, I remember all those TV shows started to come out, and a lot of them were in Vegas. Where they were going to the auctions and buying these houses for like 30 grand, houses in Las Vegas.
You're watching on TV like, uh-oh, what's up?
Well, I'm just like, how are they even doing that? Like, I thought 100,000 was a lot of money. I'm like, dude, these houses are 100,000. They're getting them for 30. I don't know how they're doing this. And anyways, long story short, I'm in the business for a while. And then 2015 was when I started flipping houses. So I went 5 years where I didn't flip at all. I just was like a realtor, doing stuff, not really having success. I start flipping couches and doing all these other things. And then I come back to real estate in 2015. And this time around, I now understand investing more because I go to like Bigger Pockets and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I get what was happening back then. They were going to the foreclosures. Well, at that point, what started to happen was, well, actually way before 2015, the hedge funds came in. Because the hedge funds came in and they started buying up every house. Like before you could go to the foreclosures, my buddies would tell me about it. They were like, dude, we would be at the foreclosure buying houses for 30 grand. Houses in Las Vegas, 1,500 square feet.
Yeah.
Normal neighborhoods. He's like, we would buy them for 30 grand back in 2009, 2010, 2011, around 2012 or whatever. The hedge funds came in and they started paying above market value at the auction.
This is a swing city. It just swings so hard up and down. They knew it was coming.
They knew. And so they just wanted to get as much inventory as they could, that they were like, guys, we're not flipping this. Like, we'll pay at $110,000. It's still way undervalued. At $130,000, it's still way undervalued. We'll buy every single one. And so all the flippers who only bought for foreclosures, they got wiped out because they didn't adjust like you did. And they're like, these guys are overpaying. They're such stupid.
So that's the trick. On your way up, we struggled with that. And I had to just bite the bullet and look at charts and say, over time, it keeps getting more. I'm going to keep buying up the curve. And I'm glad that I did.
Yep. And that's what they did. So they pushed everyone out. Blackstone, all these guys, they came to Vegas, bought them all up, sat on them till COVID. And in COVID, they had all these properties and they sold them for 3-4x what they paid for them. And everyone thought they were stupid.
They weren't smart enough to know what those guys knew.
But also, too, those guys
information.
Well, and they also have access to hold for 10 years. Most guys don't have that. You put your cap. That was me back then. As like, I can't follow that plan and wait for 10 years. I can't afford the mortgages. And
today, if you really believe you're going to get 3x over 6 years,
well, I'd find a way today.
I'm going to do it.
But I'm saying back then, I didn't know how to do any of this stuff.
Right.
Nor was I smart enough or anything. But yeah, I mean, they had the capital. They had the resources, the knowledge, and they just sat.
So that made it so hard for operators here.
Yeah. I mean, so what happened was in 2010 here, guys are buying at auctions. That goes away. Then in 2012 was the short sale boom. I remember that 2012, 2013, basically they passed a new law in Vegas. It was called like ABA something. And basically they're like, if you don't have all the proper foreclosure paperwork and loan stuff, you can't foreclose. And so basically we went from being the biggest foreclosure capital in literally the country to foreclosures halted. It was like COVID where it literally didn't happen.
Whoa.
Because all the banks were just foreclosing without the right documents. And they're like, dude, we can't, this is not right. And so what happened was 2012, 2013, I remember I was a realtor, almost everything then became a short sale because all these people were just sitting in the homes and they couldn't be foreclosed on. So they're just chilling.
So the banks are ready to make a deal.
And the banks were like, hey, we will literally pay you to leave. So the bank started paying all these underwater people who had been living there for years with no payments. Dude, they're getting slaughtered. I mean, these people, they probably bought them with no money down loans for like 400 grand. They stopped paying after a couple of months. They live in them for years,
and they're in
rent-free,
condition,
doing whatever they want. And then the bank can't foreclose because of this new law. And the bank's like, dude, we'll pay you $30,000 to leave. It was cash for keys.
Heyday.
So some people did like do great with that, even though they didn't deserve it. But anyways, eventually they passed another law. They were like, okay,
sorry, we messed this up a little.
Yeah, like these people do deserve to get foreclosed on. Like they can't just keep living for free. Yeah. So they get foreclosed on. And then I remember there was like this HOA foreclosure boom here in Vegas where all of a sudden, I don't know how it is in Houston, but they had this super lien priority thing where basically they were like, hey, if the HOA forecloses because somebody's not paying their HOAs, the HOA gets to, foreclose and take the home and you can go to auction and pay for that, lien or whatever. But because it's a super lien, HOA supersedes the mortgage, the mortgage goes away.
Yeah, it's a higher priority. Yeah. Like taxes and HOA are up there with like the game warden God.
But what they tried to debate was that it wipes out the mortgage. So
you can state law is different. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, every state law is different. But what happened was it started to come out in the news. These people were buying up these HOA liens for like $7,000 on $1 million homes, claiming that, no, we don't owe $1 million anymore. We own this home free and clear for $7,000. That's what was happening. Dude. And so then they ended up in litigation for years. And those people who did that were like basically saying, well, the worst case is it's going to be $7,000. Yeah, well, not even because they're going to start renting it right away. While they're in litigation, they're like, we're going to make our $7,000 back regardless. And however long it takes, we're going to make that as our like return. So maybe we rent it out for like 2 years and like
break even at least.
Break even minimum, make money. And then the best case is you get a free and clear property. That's how they viewed it.
You guys have a lot of law changes, but this is an important thing that people need to pay attention to. If they're in-house flipping or wholesaling, it's a little less important, but wholesaling is starting to matter these days. Understanding, having a great relationship with good attorneys, understand what the heck these laws mean are the difference between you having a big time upside and you not knowing what's going on. Because if you knew how to navigate the laws over the last 10 years here, you're telling me the opportunities.
Yeah. And once again, I didn't know what was going on during those times. I'm like new and I'm like, wait, people are trying to say they could own a house for $1 million home free and clear for $7,000? Like, how? But some people did end up getting it through. And then, a lot of them, once again, they passed a new law. They're like, hey, no, you can't wipe out $1 million mortgage because you bought a $4,000 lien. Like, wow. So anyways, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. Now, you still do this crazy stuff. So, you said, basically, you see the same thing happening in San Antonio. You just keep finding all these hairy deals that people just don't know what to do with. Like, what's an example of that?
So a very common one would be two owners, either business partners or siblings inherited a property, whatever. Usually the property, they don't live there. One of them has some bad debts, like maybe they stop paying the taxes, they don't get along. One of them, I don't know, maybe got kicked out of an apartment and he's got a judgment against him. When you don't pay you get evicted, they go to JP court and get a judgment against the person. Just all this stuff. Like folks that are usually have it together financially more don't have these kind of problems. You start to see it with like a little medium to lower income, some high income, but there's just all these issues, multiple owners, judgments, liens, breaks in the title chain, missing probates, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those make, so in your business, when you guys are trying to cut a deal and you get back the title commitment and there's too many problems on the Schedule C, you usually walk away from it.
Yeah, like
it's not worth it.
It's not worth the headache.
Right. Well, I hear all these folks on social media saying, I closed a 12-heir property and they're bragging about all these problems they solved. And it saddens me because the thing they usually missed is they didn't go back to the seller and trade them down. They did all this for a $20,000 assignment fee. And the first time I started poking around these properties intentionally looking for them, I didn't want to lose money. I was, again, worried about my downside. So I would go to these people and say, look, you and 6 people own this thing. Y'all got a mess going on here. It's probably going to be foreclosed on for taxes. I'll give you $500 for your share. That's it. And they say, what do you mean? It's worth so much more. And I say, no, it's not. Technically, it's not. It's worth what someone will pay for it, and you can't sell it. It's worth $0. They didn't like that. So I had to find a new way to say that.
Yeah.
But effectively, the issue is they can't transact. So I would buy it without title insurance and then go buy each person's property interest. And then I would go and solve those judgments, liens, strip them, contest them, settle them, and self-release them. When that happens, I'm in something that's worth a couple $100,000 for $50,000.
Right.
And then at that point, I'll go sell it to a flipper for $175,000.
Yeah.
And then I'm done. But for me, I'm not doing contractors, none of that stuff. And the interesting part is I've heard people have done a deal or two like this, but there's no one that said, I like this better than everything else I'm going to make in my business.
Yeah. So what year did you finally decide that after a couple, or how many times doing it did it make you be like, okay, this is like my main focus?
That was 2017. When I had that end of the year meeting of these were the best 5 deals out of all the 30 deals I did that year. I want to see if I can make this the business.
Yeah.
So at that point, into 17, beginning of 18, I thought I'm just going to look for these.
So your business model was look for hairy deals. You just want to buy them with no title insurance, solve them however long that takes. Once you get clear title, sell them as is to an investor.
MLS.
You don't even fix them up. You're just like,
I don't really. So this is really an asset agnostic approach. I could care less if it's an RV. I could care less if it's a vacant lot. It could be a ranch. I bought an office this way, warehousing. I bought apartments. Doesn't matter. I'll take anything I can get for a fraction of value. I'll take that. I had this old Jewish business guy tell me one time, there's no bad, he was in a mediation. He goes, there's no bad product, only bad pricing. He's right.
Yeah. Everything has the right price.
Yeah.
So what exactly are you looking for now these days?
The same. The only thing is I like to look a little bit higher value because
there's more equity. There's more,
and you know how much more work it is?
Less.
It's the same.
Yeah.
So I was in 2020, I'll never forget, I got a call from somebody in Austin, Texas. The vacant lots downtown were $500,000 there. The vacant lots downtown in San Antonio were 50 to 100 usually. I get a call from this guy and he's laying out all these problems, and I've never done business in Austin. But I remember thinking, it's the same work. It's still got 6 owners, still the same problems I'm used to. Let me try this deal. And I haven't been to a property except for when I shoot property tour videos, like for Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to real estate anymore, ever. I didn't go to that property. It was worth, we'll see. That one was about $500,000. I was in it for 70.
Yeah.
30 grand in taxes, 40 grand to the owners, and 10 grand in legal fees. I was in it for probably about 80. Resold it, made 400 grand.
Crazy.
It was the same work. And I thought, maybe I should do this in the bigger cities because it's worth more.
But like, what are you doing? Are you just looking for properties with lots of liens and you're like, that's my property?
Right. So over time, after I would string those together, I started to step back and do these reviews after a quarter and say, what were my best deals? And I started to find the common thread was delinquency, mortgage foreclosure, tax foreclosure. And we started to get a little bit more sophisticated to be able to run crosses against the judgments and liens in the land records and the tax office to see who common names.
Yeah. And then from that point, it's just like, okay, so I'm on a pull list of properties that got a lot of different liens that I like. I'm on a cold call them, text them, hit them with some direct mail.
We have to phone call. Well, phone call or text, but like mail won't land. So folks usually, when you
ever knock them?
In the early days, that's all I did.
Yeah.
But I started, you want to grow and, today I'm
It's not scaling. It's hard to scale knocking.
I get to the point where I was making $700,000-$800,000 a year by myself with an assistant. So I'm like,
door knocking.
Yeah, I'm beating the doctors that I grew up with. Like, I'm so thankful. But you know how it works. This is good. Maybe more is a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, I think there's ways to make more with less work.
So that happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I use the phone.
Yeah. So everything's just cold call and text at this point.
That's it. Yeah.
And I mean, like running the business now, like how big's the team? Like you said, you guys are doing 200 plus transactions a year and they're all kind of like this.
So our biggest transaction year was 2021 or 2022. It was before the market cooled. We did 223 transactions.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, total sales, like total revenue for the year has gone down significantly, but profit has grown. Like we just did a deal. We closed on Friday. We sold it for $1 million. We paid $7,000 for the deed and it had $425,000 in taxes.
Got it.
We called the neighbors and we called a bunch of brokers. Commercial brokers is an industrial lot, 3.5 acres. They said it was worth $1.5 million. But do I sell it for the $7,000? I bought it for $7,000. So do I sell it for $1 million right now to the neighbor and make $500,000 after paying the taxes? Or do I take it down, allocate $500,000, hope that I get the 1.5, maybe I get 1.2, velocity of money. So
yeah. Just take the quick buck and moved on.
That's it. So we moved right through to the 18-day deal. Had $7,000 in it, $5,000 in legal. We made almost $500,000.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. So 25 people in the office, 3 of them are attorneys. We've got genealogists, and we now have on.
You have a genealogist. How does that work? What do they do?
They build family trees. They're like a complete nerd in the office, just like drawing it up.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
how many deals are they working on with family trees?
70, 80% of them.
Whoa.
Yeah, multiple owners.
You're just trying to find heirs and.
That's right. So
how many of them are dealt with death, would you say?
What's that?
How many of your deals deal with death? What percentage?
70 to 80.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why you're just trying to do lineage.
Right. So we got to the point where we were doing the investigative work and we would kind of hit roadblocks where it really took a lot of additional work. So we started hiring private investigators and we stumbled across a retired FBI couple. He was an agent. She was a researcher. And since we met them, that's like our go-to source. So we'll do a little bit of research. And if it gets to the point where like we can't find the information like that, then we'll pass it to them. And they give us back everything we need usually.
How much do they usually charge to do their thing?
You could have a small price of a couple $100. Sometimes you could have thousands.
Yeah.
We dug people. We found a guy in a soup kitchen one time.
When you were saying we dug people, I'm like, were you digging up grapes?
No. Actually, a dude who went through my coaching program had a body exhumed and did DNA testing last month.
Whoa.
It cost him $18,000 and the judge had to order it.
That's insane. Did it work?
It did.
Wow.
Yeah. These are just the deals that people would normally walk away from. And if you can negotiate it right.
Yeah, because you got to get an insane home run to do all this crap.
Right. In a couple hundred deals, if we'll do 20, 30 million in transactions, you can tell like the margin, what it looks like. I ran a report like a couple of weeks ago. One of the companies in the office, I'll explain in a minute, but we have about 150 properties in inventory. So he's like the most aggressive partner I have. The dude just can't turn down a deal.
When you say inventory, you bought it for whatever, you just got it titled over to you, and now you're trying to just work through its crap.
On that deal, I own greater than 1% of it. I own greater than 0%.
So that would be inventory. You own some level of the property. Okay.
So probably 50% of them turn in 120 to 150 days.
Got it.
The other 50% require lawsuits, settlements, mediations,
could be
arbitrations. We're usually done not longer than about 18 months at the worst. There we have a couple of them. We bought a 50% interest in a community property situation. There's a divorce about to happen and we funded the divorce. And in a $6 million estate, we bought 50% interest for $10,000 from the spouse. But she alleges husband abused her. She moved out 15 years ago and he wouldn't give her a divorce so she could get new insurance with her new boyfriend. So when we called her, she was scorned. She's like, if you file for the divorce and do as much as you can legally to get him away from me, I'll let you have this. I'm like, I can't take it for free. I'll give you $10,000. She's like, I'll be there tomorrow from Louisiana. Boom.
Wow.
So now that requires you had to file a lawsuit to clear title, declaratory judgment, blah, 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 blah. That'll take 2 years.
Yeah.
But we'll probably be in at $250,000 legal fees.
Wow.
We've given the seller $10,000. We'll probably give him another 40 to help us with some stuff. But we'll probably make $2.5, $3 million on that.
Wow. That's crazy.
But that goes back to what you were saying earlier. At this point, we're willing to invest, we're willing to take the ride, and we have the capital.
Yeah. So how many deals do you think are tied up in litigation right now that you're just working through?
I'm probably a plaintiff on about 50 transactions-ish. Yeah, somewhere around there.
And you said you have lawyers on staff who just deal with all that.
So we've got internal, we have external. External, you've got specialists. Sometimes you're dealing with a very unique situation. I mean, lawyers like doctors. There's just hundreds of them. We'll have specialists sometimes. We're about 50 to 70 grand a month in legal fees on third-party legal. And then internally, I have to look at what the payroll stuff is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know, house flipping has its ups and downs. And, you know, I've flipped at times and I brought properties to market when the market wasn't great. And I thought I was gonna make 50 grand. I made 10.
Yep.
I thought I was gonna make 100 on one and I lost 50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But this approach is so important because I was concerned about my margin of safety. If I accounted for every risk, every mistake, every problem, and I still couldn't lose money, I ain't losing money. If I account for all that, I'm probably making a lot of money if nothing goes wrong.
Right.
So it was really like a risk-adjusted approach from the beginning. I just didn't know how to explain it well in the beginning.
How many of you lost money on where you just weren't able to get it done?
You know, I did some settlements about 3 years ago. Some of the guys got a little aggressive with some properties in a region that I won't get too far into that, but I lost maybe $250,000 that summer. That was 3 transactions. I wrote the deal off, gave everything I've spent and the interest I'd bought to them and just said it's not worth it anymore, walked away.
Yeah, you just gave up your interest.
I've probably lost on maybe 10 deals.
Right.
But when you're buying something that's worth, a very typical deal is worth about $194,000. I ran a report in Salesforce, which their CRM, $194,000 is the typical sale price in that company that has 150 units. $194,000 sale. Average entry point was about 50.
Yeah.
So there's about $150,000 in gross margin. Then we got to take out overhead and stuff like that. But you're still talking a little over 100 grand in net margin on average in that company.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to lose money at that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Even if a couple just don't pan out, you pay the legal fees and whatever, and the next deal is going to cover it.
You just walk away.
Yeah.
There are times where it's just not worth it. Now, lately we found another angle because creditors sue people. Like, I don't know, 2 people get into a fight and they sue each other. There's a judgment out there, but the creditor never went to collect on that judgment. So we realized we're already running searches for judgments and liens and owners. But if those liens aren't collected on, you can buy that debt for almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have a claim against that owner. Well, if that owner owns non-exempt property, homesteads are exempt. Different states work differently. But for example, in Texas, if it's non-exempt, meaning it's not your homestead, that property's at risk.
Yeah.
So like there's a warehouse we worked on where we bought a claim against a guy's business for 20 grand. Was like the claim was 20 grand. It was old. So there's a bunch of interest. It was like 50 or 60 grand. We called the creditor and offered him $5,000 for the $20,000 claim that was now worth 50 or 60. So he spent $5 grand and got one document that assigned that judgment to us in the land records or recorded it. And then immediately sent a notice to that warehouse owner that said, you need to pay this 60 grand or this is a demand for payment.
Yeah.
He ignored us. So we filed a writ in his jurisdiction and asked the judge for permission to sell the warehouse to pay our debt. The dude didn't want to pay. He wouldn't respond. So go sell the warehouse and get your money. And if no one bids at the auction that time, you become the owner for the credit bid.
Mm.
Warehouse worth $1.5 million. So we haven't completed that one yet, but we're coming towards the finish line now.
The dude is just non-responsive still.
Man, it's shocking. The guy's
Do you think he's like dead?
No. We've sent private investigators over to go to his shop and pretend like they were customers. He is coherent. He's alive. He's running his business. He's active. Like,
he literally hasn't responded to anything.
Mm-mm.
What do you think? What did the PI say his deal is? He just...
And I tried to figure this stuff out a long time ago. I would hear about, I mean, you've been around this real estate business where people are making these terrible decisions. They're in foreclosure. They have weird stuff going on. They just
don't care. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with a guy. And every time someone would come to my office and say, Logan, here's this new problem, I'm always like, what's the catch? But I forget I built this model. I've been asking myself, what's the catch for 10 years now? People make poor choices, man.
People just aren't rational.
You know, another way to look at it is, especially with inherited, I'm not like, a good example, guy that works with me loves music. I listen to it, but I could care less. Well, There are people that are music lovers, but I don't care about it. What about real estate and money? I care about that. There are people that don't care about real estate and money the same way I don't care about music. You would be shocked at how people will walk away from property, will hide from liabilities, will hide from stuff. They just don't care.
Yeah. I tell people that all the time too. Like when I'll first explain wholesaling to new people, they'll be like, why in the world would a seller do that? And I'll be like, well, there's a lot of reasons. Like, I mean, where do you want me to begin? I've seen every reason under the sun, but number one, a lot of sellers are just embarrassed and they don't want to deal with a realtor. They don't want to deal with people seeing their home. Like they just want it done. They're not money motivated. They're pain motivated. They're like, dude, just get this off my plate. I really don't care what it makes.
That's it.
There are people who, I don't know, the way I explain it too, sometimes I'm like, if you trade in a car, you're not getting the best price. Like, that they're going to make money, that convenience, right? So some people just do it for convenience. Then I just said, some people, whatever, man, they just don't really think about it. They're just like, yeah, I mean, that sounds good. Whatever.
I don't care.
Let's just do it.
You're right. I'll tell you something that was shocking. I don't know. This never happened to me until I really started to grow this business. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I got sued several times by children of the parents who sold me their property.
Yeah.
And the child paid for it. The person who had standing was the person who sold to me, the parent. But I'd start being in the middle of these depositions and they're making me sound like a monster. Like all this stuff went wrong. And like I took advantage of somebody. And then we get the other person in the deposition and the dad's like, I don't really give a shit. Like I could care less. Yeah. I'm thinking like, what are we doing here? But I had a couple people turn around and change their mind. One guy, this is shocking, dude. It was shocking. The kid was a truck driver. His dad sold me his share of the property for like 15 grand. It was 1/7. So we had to buy all the other owners. They were all on board. One of the siblings called him and told him what was going on. He said, tell him to call me. I want to sell. So we send a mobile notary out, an attorney to do the closing, and they're closing on the hood of a car, but it is a lawyer. They're on the east side. The guy apparently tells the son gets mad, sues him, and his defense is he was so high on crack. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't have the capacity to commence the transaction.
Uh-huh.
So he wanted to unwind the transaction. I said, okay, well, let's start here. Let me get my money back.
Yeah.
Well, we know that's gone. Now he wants to share the property back, and they sued us.
Yeah.
So it's a very legal kind of world in this place or in this business. So we started to create documentation, sign-offs, we video closings. We're not kidding around. Yeah. Now we've got a disclosure. It's 4 pages long. They're literally reading it, Ryan, saying, I understand if all the title and ownership problems are solved, the property could be worth somewhere around $500,000. I realize I'm selling my 1/7 share for $7,000 because of, and they list all the title problems. They're literally looking into a camera and saying all this.
Yeah.
So that when these people call me with this crazy claim later, I can send their lawyer the video and they're like, it's over.
Yeah.
I got sued earlier this year by a multinational white shoe law firm, like a big one. And I purchased an interest in an estate from a executor. It was an insolvent estate. They were behind, like they're going to lose the property to foreclosure. Well, I thought actually, I didn't know about the transaction until it was over. Guys in the office did the deal, but it was assessed for $500,000. Apparently my guys ran comps and thought it was worth $1 million.
Okay.
Well, once the lawsuit, and I'm all in it for 130 grand. I pay the administrator 130. I was going to pay 30 to the taxes. So a couple $100,000. During the lawsuit, they the attorney from the other side during the deposition produces an appraisal that the estate had done years ago. Apparently the property's worth $2.4 million.
Uh-huh.
Like it continues to run. But in this case, we had loads of documentation. The law was on our side. In Texas, the executor administrator has the right to liquidate property if the estate's insolvent, behind financially. Like there's all these exceptions basically. And it's interesting. They alleged fraud. They alleged all the stuff that they do in the typical real estate lawsuit. And they backed off all those claims when we started loading out all of our evidence and had a good attorney backing it up.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be a shocking place to be sometimes. You can't have thin skin.
Yeah. How much does it stress you out to be in these depositions and so many lawsuits and just knowing every deal might end up, not being done? Like you're like, cool, it's done. We made money. And then, somebody comes back however many.
I'll never forget the first time someone sued me. Process server hands me this lawsuit. I open it. It says, you're being sued. My name's at the top in this special format.
Yeah.
I'm getting the bubble guts. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to sue me. Oh my gosh, you're going to take everything. Oh my gosh, we're going to have to move out of our home. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be poor. My wife is going to leave me. My kids are going to be raised in the wrong place. Like, you go down to the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go to like the bottom of like the rabbit hole. And that first couple lawsuits that happened. But at this point, we do everything right. We have recordings, we have documentations, we have attorneys closing the transactions. Like, I'm right. I'm absolutely right. So it's no different than any other report. I'll look at our internal docket report and I see what's going on, what phase each case is in, what's our budget. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. You're like, this is just part of doing
But
business.
that's from years of this.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the first time in about 5 years, my stomach sunk is when that multinational white shoe law firm.
You're like, okay, these guys ain't playing.
Yeah. But the good news is we had a boutique firm that was like, in my opinion, one of the top in the state for this kind of stuff. And we did great. So that builds confidence.
So at this point, are you guys, you're talking about Texas. So is everything in Texas? Is everything in San Antonio? Or is it everywhere in Texas? What are you doing?
Started in San Antonio, reached out to the rest of Texas because the laws were the same. Started a coaching program about 3 years ago and realized people wanted to be in other places. So we started doing all states that were probate alternative states.
What does that mean?
So some states require a probate, even if you didn't have a will, like Florida or California is required probate state. There, you have to do it. And that means it's slower. There's more risk for people to sign up with you and change their mind, problems like that. We didn't touch that. An alternative is an affidavit of heirship. So a lot of states allow an affidavit of heirship instead of a probate. That means it's faster, it's simpler, it's just quicker. So we started doing those states because coaching folks wanted it. And then about a year ago, we did a couple deals outside of those states in the probate states and realized, okay, here we don't buy the deed for the property, we buy the interest in the estate because the heir does not have title to the property before the estate is administered, so they can't sell you anything. They own nothing.
Yeah.
They own an interest in the estate, but they don't own interest in real estate. Deed goes to real estate. Assignment form goes to the estate.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, Colorado. But at this point, that's JV deals will come in and we'll do them.
Yeah. So you're doing JV deals because they're finding deals and they're like, hey, this has got a lot. So, just let's partner up.
Naturally, those are juicier. They're in other states. You have to find an attorney in that area that understands it all. But yeah.
Yeah. Because I know Vegas, I mean, if you don't have a will and a trust, it goes through probate.
Okay, you're a required probate state then.
Yeah.
So this would be one of the states that we normally wouldn't want to do.
Yeah.
Now we'll do it.
Well, so I can tell you, probates are, I don't know that this model would work in Vegas because the way it works for probate here anyways is that if it's over 100,000 in equity, it has to go to court and anyone can bid. And so.
Wait, bid?
Yeah.
You're assuming they're selling the real estate.
Yeah.
Because sometimes folks will administer the estate, keep the real estate in their name, and then later sell it.
So I think there's a lot of ways to look at it, but the typical way that it happens out here, especially when we found off-market deals. So let's just say, a seller comes to us through our marketing and we realize like, okay, it hasn't gone through probate yet. You don't actually own it, right? Uh-huh. And so we will, let's just make it, it's a simple deal, right? There's one child, they're supposed to get the house, right?
That's no fun.
Yeah, so simple deal. And they're like, yeah, I mean, I own this house. I've been living in it. My parents passed it down to me. We look it up and it's like, oh, they don't actually own it yet. It's still in the parent's name, right?
Yeah.
So it has to go through probate because there's no will, there's no trust, there's none of these things. Here's the problem. Let's just say the house is worth $500K and we're going to buy it from them for, I don't know, $300K. Easy numbers, right? If it has more than $100,000 in equity, we can go under contract with this person. But what happens is it goes into probate and then anyone else can bid above that 300,000. And it goes into probate, they bid, and whatever the highest bidder is, that's what that person gets. And we could get nothing.
Okay. So you're contracting to buy it through probate. So let me offer a different suggestion.
Okay.
if you're able to trade the person down significantly, they don't want to deal with probate, you could buy their interest in the estate.
Yeah.
And then still go through that process because you're going to get top dollar. And if you become the buyer, you get to sell wholesale and make some money or maybe take it down and flip it. But if it sells for top dollar, you get paid when the estate clears.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But I'd have to see how it would work with the law. Because one thing, the only other way we've ever got around it was they would do something called a set aside.
What's that?
It's a probate term here in Vegas where basically you set the property aside and it doesn't actually have to go to auction. And so you can prove that, hey, there's not $100,000 of equity. And because it's so low, there's no point for it to go through this process. And so you make that case and then the judge just clears it and then now the transaction can happen.
The challenge here though is you want as much equity as you can.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. So in your scenario, you're like, hey, buy their interest. And then when it goes through this probate process, you're going to get bidders and then you'll make whatever they would have made.
Right. So you can either be the buyer if it's the right price you like, or either way, if you buy their interest in the estate, you're still going to either be the buyer and have a lower basis.
I'd have to see because I mean, I have talked to every probate lawyer under the sun here in like the last 10 years. And I don't know what the law is different versus like how you guys do it in, like you said, in Texas, like you'd avoid normally a place like this.
Ryan, do me a favor and let's talk about this in a month, because every lawyer that I talked to all of 2018, and I was like, here's my problem. How do I fix it? Like, Logan, it's not worth it. Logan, you can't do that. Man, they all told me don't do it. You can't do it. It doesn't work. And we made a fortune figuring out ways to make it work.
Yeah.
We will stay. There's a fine line that's legal and illegal. I will not come close to that line.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of options.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Trust me, dude. If there's an argument to be made, we'll go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask my guys about that because, like I said, I mean, we've done probates for many, many years, but probate out here is like sucks.
Are y'all the state government Republican, Democrat?
It's sometimes it kind of switches, but I think we were Democrat this election.
So there's some laws that have changed over the last 10 years. The uniform partition of every
Actually, no, I think we ended up Republican on this last election because Trump kind of won like all the swing states.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if there was much time where Democrats were controlling, you've seen a lot of laws change in the last 10 years that have caused things like that to happen or required appraisals or lots of notice. And their goal is just to slow the whole thing down. And some states get really bad like that. It wouldn't surprise me if that's not a Republican initiated thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to congest business. Like people have the right to contract, the right to sell, the right to do those things. But sometimes some of these laws will start to lean into protectionary places and you don't want to get in the way of business. So a lot of times there are options. I wouldn't mind looking at it. I think it'd be fun. I'll do some research on the plane home.
You got nothing else to do. You might as well learn how to do it in Vegas. So, I mean, I guess too, like you said, you're doing some JVs, but I guess, is there just so much work with your current team in Texas that there's no point to market in these other places yourself?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
You know,
how much further do you think you could go in Texas? Like if you got a bigger team?
Oh, we're not scratching the surface, man.
You're not even close.
The thing is, I also step back too. Like when I started this, I didn't really have much and I just wanted to not be poor anymore, not have to worry about money. So I don't have to worry about that today. But now I ask myself, like, where is this going to go? Do I care to be worth $1 billion? Not really. But the way life is now, it's really good. So how much stress and trouble do I want, you know?
Yeah.
The way I built this business was not with a bunch of employees. It was with partners.
Yeah.
So train a young guy who was bright and hardworking, but didn't have the capital, the idea, and build him up. And all right, you go, and he'd hire people and he'd build his operations. So there are 5 of these businesses in our office. And those partners are running them. They're competent, they're capable, they're well-funded now. They've been trained by years.
Wait, so you have 5 different partners. How does that work?
They just run their own business.
But like, how does it work with, do they each get a territory or like, what? How does that work?
Man, we looked at that early on. We were concerned about it. But if I told you we're not even scratching the surface of this, I would be exaggerating.
Yeah.
There's so much of this out there. So it's a lot of work. We have a decent sized team, but you know, these pipelines can be slow. You can't use debt for these. You have to use cash. So we've been self-funded.
So like these 20, you said you had 25 people in office.
Mhm.
So basically you have like 5 different teams
Yeah, basically.
in the 25, and they use shared resources of the lawyers, the genealogist, whatever, right? So you have like this parent company thing with the PIs that like the shared resource.
So it's actually like it's a separate company because I don't want those companies to be, one of the things that White Shoe Law Firm said is y'all are operating as a total partnership. All assets are at risk for this deal. And no, we went through clarifying that no, they're not. There's a shared like overhead entity.
Shared resource.
That each person shares it and pays into to use that, like law firms kind of do sort of.
I do that in my businesses right now.
Right. So you got to be real careful the way it's chopped up. But yeah, that's how it works. So like the smallest team has 2 guys, a partner, and then another guy that does acquisitions. That's it. That's a small team. And that guy will do a couple $1 million a year net.
So how does it work with you, because you have your CPA partner.
Yeah.
So are you and him partners in like the parent?
Yeah.
And
so
then,
me and him own 50% of all those companies. So technically I own 25.
Right. And then you're just finding young, hungry guys who want to learn this model. And you guys are funding them essentially.
I mean, it took me about a year and a half to train each one. So like I haven't brought on a new partner in years. Like I'm done with all that. It was a great way to build, but I would bring them in, work side by side. I'm knocking on doors, calling with them. Like we're doing this together.
You're teaching them.
Yeah. But during that time I'm watching, how's he treating his wife or girlfriend? What does he do with his money? Is he out of money every month and he's borrowing and making poor financial decisions? What's his standard of living? Like I'm kind of looking at all these saying, can I be married to this dude in business for the next 30 years till I retire? And if he does good in business and the answer to those other things are good, all right, let's do a partnership.
Let's officially dive in on.
Let's set up an LLC. Let me capitalize you. Let's build it. Let's go. Yeah. So the bigger team only has 1, 2, 3, 4 acquisitions guys, an administrative gal, and then the partner. So there's 7 people in the largest team. That's the one that has about 150 units inventory. You don't need a massive team to do really well at it, but it's very technical, so you have to understand it.
So what's your day-to-day look like?
This. So I had this guy come up to me at a speaking event, I don't know, about 3 years ago and said, will you coach me and do this? I'm like, I'm not coaching. I don't know how to do that. And he goes, what if I give you like 30,000 for a month? I'm like, and then all of a sudden the negotiator steps in. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And he goes, how about 40? I'm like, all right, I'm listening. Anyway, so I coached this guy for like a month or so, and I called a couple other people that have been pestering me on the internet. I'm like, we're going to do this. Let me get a couple people together. And it worked really well. And they were all very successful. So I thought, all right, let me build this. So we coach 100 people a year now, 2 semesters, spring and fall. I've worked on that. I recently started courses, book funnels, ad spend. So I've spent more time on that. These guys are running this business. I'm a shareholder today. Like when they have a major legal problem or I get named individually in a lawsuit,
then
they got my attention.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
so now you're just making content and doing coaching is like the main things during your time.
Yeah, we bought some food manufacturing companies, a liquor brand, and built a commercial portfolio, started to kind of do some of that.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what are you doing with the money that you're making?
Reinvesting it. We live
into more legal cases and all that stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, there comes a time where like those companies don't need more capital. There's one of them that always sucks the capital. Other than that, and he's picking up equity, so we're willing to do it. But outside of that, like, what do you do with this capital, right? Like most of the time, people that get rich they get rich with a business and then they invest in real estate.
Right.
You and I decided to build a company that transacted in real estate. So that's not really real estate investing as much. It's
making active income. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's active. Right. Exactly. You're a dealer. So that's how this whole thing started. But when the money starts to put off, do I want to dump it back in there? I don't know. That really won't move the needle.
Yeah.
So now it's like we built a commercial portfolio. So we got offices, warehouse. There are 3 business lines, the distressed stuff that we've been talking about. Started developing land. We stumbled across this massive subdivision that was cut by one of the big builders when interest rates shot up a couple years ago. And then we decided to do a business line. So we got a couple thousand lots in Texas being developed right now. We've exited our first one, a 355 unit subdivision in Dallas.
So you're just selling the land.
We buy the land, we entitle it, file the MUD.
Yeah.
Sometimes file the final plat, and then we'll sell it to a big public builder.
Right.
So there's that. And then we got the commercial cash flow portfolio. That's where all the money goes.
Got it. So everything you're doing is just pure real estate. But you said you had a food thing.
A guy who buys businesses and turns them around, worked for an investment bank for years, is a friend of my partner. Said, hey, we're buying a It was a white label salsa and barbecue sauce manufacturing company. So like when you go to the store and you see all those different bottles,
Yeah.
probably 10, 15% of them are all made in the same plant.
Right.
So business owner was old, getting ready to sell. We got a pretty good deal. So we bought that.
Yeah. So I mean, like, obviously it's still 95% real estate. Because you're talking about, one day retiring and, doing stuff later, but like, did you ever get the shiny object syndrome to do other stuff? Or you're just like, bro, I just do this distress thing and I'm just going to do this for like 30 more years.
There are times where I looked at it, but I mean, as smart as some of these things sound, like I'm a pretty simple guy. Like if something works, it works. And I would talk to all these other people and say, I don't like that guy's business. That guy has ups and downs. I don't know, that gal, she's not doing as good as it looks. Like,
yeah,
this just worked. And I didn't realize how good it was actually until I started going to events and talking to people and they tell me about their business. I'm like, well, this is better than that.
Yeah.
And I kept telling myself that. And eventually I was like,
I must have figured out the best thing.
I have the bright, shiny thing and I don't want to mess this up.
Yeah. I mean, why even, I guess, waste time in coaching? Because, you make more doing the thing.
So there's two major events that happened running as a business owner that were very meaningful to major shifts in my career. And I was in the trenches with the guys running the businesses. Even once they'd been built and working, I just couldn't get out of them. It was in my mind. And me and my wife bought a house. We were living in the house and we decided to move out and do this massive remodel. And being cheap, although I could afford it, I didn't hire a GC. I was going to sub it all myself and never do that again. But it put me on that site for 9 months almost every day. And I stopped answering the guys' calls and I'd get irritated. I'd come home. There's like 10 emails from the guys asking questions. I'm like, dude, you know the answer. Why are you pestering me? After 9 months, they quit calling. They quit pestering me. And our financials look great. I have to have some calls with the bank or with my other partner. Otherwise, I'm not messing with this stuff. So when I came back to the office, I'm showing up at 8:00. No one's coming to my office. No one's pestering me. It was a big change. And then I got a call from that guy at that event. And he was like, would you coach me? I'm like, I got all this time. Like it was fun for a month or two.
Yeah.
But after that, Idle Hands or Devil's Workshop, don't like sitting. So I started doing the coaching and I thought, wow, this is fun. It works. But the way that's organized now, it's not taking much of my time.
Yeah. A lot of group stuff and everything, I assume.
Yeah. So when an opportunity opens up, we take advantage of it. If you build it right, you don't need a ton of your time. You got to keep an eye because, the cat's away, the mouse will play kind of thing. But
yeah.
So that happened. That was a big one. And then when the coaching really started to work, a guy ran some ads for me at the beginning of the year. And he's like, man, you have a unique offer. No one has this. I'm like, what do you mean offering is your coaching? And people were flooding into it from other parts of real estate. And he said, why don't you put together a bunch of online courses and sell them through some funnels?
You're like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever, man. But then he told me about one that he did for another customer.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, that looks...
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. So I've spent probably 50% of my time since summer on like that body of work.
Building that out. Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen with real estate? And especially like 2026 as we head in? What's your predictions?
Dude, flip a coin, man. I could make a prediction. It could be so wrong. It usually is.
I mean, you've been through lots of cycles at this point.
So we have exposure in different places. We got the default market exposure. We've got the new home builders. So we went to market with a large, $25 million product, and it didn't sell for what we were wanting. We got about a third less, was our best offer. So since we didn't use debt, we used all equity. We just said, hold on, we're going to pull this off the market and wait. And we're starting to get better offers now. But the home builder market is really soft right now. They're not buying land. They're not paying.
This is that massive subdivision you're talking about.
Where?
This is that massive subdivision?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm seeing that kind of happen in the market. And then I've got the leasing stuff on my commercial side, and I'm watching all these different things and say, consumer markets are kind of weak, but the stock market's popping. Interest rates are easing downwards right now. And whether you love Trump or hate him, his things aren't crashing the world. His fights with the other nations are like, you would think they'd be bringing out nuclear bombs and they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like with interest rates heading downwards, you would think real estate would come up a little quicker. It hasn't reacted quite as quick because there's a lot of debt load on households.
Yeah. It's still like so slow in single family in most places.
No. interest rates are coming down. Dude, you can get a 5% mortgage now.
Yeah.
Over the last 100 years, that's a smoking cheap deal.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing activity back in the home builders because we're getting higher in offers now on some of our stuff. My gut would say it's going upwards. I mean, I'm buying stocks that are exchange traded funds that are all in like home building and stuff. I believe that. I'm putting my money behind it, but
yeah, and home builders are kind of on a different timeline than somebody who's trying to flip or wholesale today, right? I mean, because
they got long horizons.
Yeah, like if they're going to buy your lots right now, they're expecting to sell 1 to 2 years from now.
That's right. Maybe a little shorter. So one of the caveats is we didn't file the final plat. We did a prelim plat, and they were saying we're not touching anything unless it's completed or we're buying it cheap.
Yeah, because we want to start now.
Right. That was it. So that was the big deal. They want to be able to move now. I don't know, man. I mean, I think we're positioned in a place where the real estate could recover, but it moves slow too.
Yeah.
So what I'll tell you, the way things are set up is I'm always trying to figure out how to not get screwed, basically. I don't want to lose it all.
You're super risk averse.
Right. And people would say that that's not the case because of this business, because it's an aggressive business, but it's modeled without a lot of risk. So on our properties, when the interest rates shot up a couple years ago, and we sold for 70 cents on the dollar, but we're in it for 30 or 40. So we still did fine. So we've weathered these ups and downs. So
yeah, I lost millions when
on
the
flips.
dams hit. Yeah.
And well, so we were wholesaling commercial for a little while. We lost money in that little business line for 3 months in a row. 4 months, we're finally like, forget it, stop. That was overhead.
Yeah.
Did you probably lose some overhead in your flipping business too?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So that is the business line we did lose money on the first time. We wholesaled commercial for a little while, but outside of that, I don't know. I haven't spent the time looking at what I think markets are going to do because I think we're insulated somewhat.
Yeah, your whole thing is if I'm buying 40 cents on the dollar, it doesn't matter what happens. So you're not really too concerned about it. Whereas a builder has to be ultra concerned, a flipper.
They're like 18, 20% margins, the builders, if they're lucky.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Dude, I have so much more respect for public builders now that they can invest hundreds of millions and billions of dollars on a 18, 17% margin and pin the tail on the donkey.
Yeah. But when you think about when I think about large companies at scale, it's interesting, right? Because it makes me think back to when I first started flipping houses, let's just say I didn't actually ever do work myself, but like I could go pick all the materials and get good deals and, get the job done for way quicker or cheaper. And then, when you have 20 going at a time, you can't do that anymore, right? And so your construction costs go up because you just can't really go give it that individual
all those layers
attention.
of management that have to happen.
Yeah. And I look at what they do and it's like, well, how else are you going to build 1,000 homes this month? Like, you're not going to build 1,000 homes this month at 50% margins. Like,
no.
So, do you take 1,000 at 18% or do you, do 10, 15 transactions a month at, massive margins?
Depends on who you are. They can grow big. You know how the bigger the business gets, the smaller the margin usually is.
Yeah, exactly. Like Amazon's making 1%. Like, but when you make 1% on $1 trillion, it's pretty good.
Killing it. That's a risk thing. So for me, like there's times where, I work pretty much 5 days a week. I don't take days off, but there are times where I go in, I'm like, I don't want to do this work today. So I'll do some other work, not what I'm supposed to do, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's room in our business to just not be focused sometimes, mess up. Sometimes I won't work on something that needs to be worked on for a couple weeks. I'll go do something else because I don't want to do it. I still want to be productive, but I don't want to do that.
How do you think you've maintained a partnership this long? Because a lot of partnerships go to the wayside.
I treat them like I treat first I picked right.
That's more important than anything.
That is, yes. And then I treat them like I treat my wife.
Yeah.
These are business marriages, like not into dudes, but like when I met these guys, I knew my parents had failed marriage. I'd seen every mistake in a relationship. And I remember thinking, if I'm ever going to get married, God, I got to pick right. And if I'm going to get involved with a business guy, I want to know him. And I just don't, like you hear these stats, divorces destroy wealth and the same thing for business. And I don't want that. So I looked for attitude, aptitude, bandwidth, ambition. I was looking for all those things in the people to make sure they'd be good operators. And I'd try to teach them what I thought they should learn. I wanted to have good people, like really good humans.
Yeah.
Every one of those business partners I have, if my wife was wasted at 2 a.m. and I couldn't drive her home, I would let them drive her 5 hours across the state home by themselves at 2 a.m. if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Everyone.
You ain't worried about it.
I wouldn't blink. Not at all.
Yeah.
And if I can trust them with my wife,
yeah,
I can trust them with a couple $1,000,000.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the people.
Yeah. Why do you think a lot of partnerships fail?
The people.
It's just choosing wrong from the jump.
You know, yeah. Gosh. Like you seem to have, from what I've seen online, you seem to have a pretty stable marriage. Y'all spend a lot of time working on it, but like it's got good going concern.
Yeah.
But would you look at relationships younger in your life that might not have been like that? Or have you always chosen well?
Are you talking marriage or all relationships?
Yeah. Like boy, girl, boyfriend, girlfriend. Marriage.
So for me, I also got lucky. So Mindy was like my first official girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
So
you just picked well from the jump.
Well, I was also super picky. So like, I mean,
okay,
you know, I'm in high school, and I just knew that I didn't want to date around and fool around. Like I was like as a Christian, I'm just looking for somebody that I'm going to marry. And so in high school, I didn't really date or anything. Then even in college, like I was like, yeah, I mean, unless I see myself marrying this person, there's no reason to date.
Dude, good job. Wow.
Yeah. And so
that's super rare.
Very rare. And so, I mean, it wasn't for a lack of opportunities. I had lots of opportunities. But yeah, and then I found her. She was 19. I was 22. And I was like, yeah, she's the one. So we start dating, then we get engaged really quick, and then we get married really quick. And
wow,
here we are.
You're like, I found it. I don't need to look anymore.
Yeah, I'm good.
I would guess based on that, if you use that same like ideology to choose business partners and people to associate, I would think that you'd have a high success rate with business people too.
Yeah, you know, I would say it's been hit and miss. So I don't want to talk bad on any partners or anything like that. One thing I will say that's changed things is I would say Partners 101 agree that picking first is like the number one thing, right? The hard part is being aligned on like what the future looks like together. Because I think for me, in a lot of partnerships, we just started. And it's like, yeah, like let's just do this and kind of whatever happens, happens. Like let's grow it and do well. And my life has taken, I really blame myself. My life has taken such different terms over the years. Like, dude, I was a pro baseball player. Then I was a house flipper. And then now I'm a YouTuber. And then I'm a couch flipper. Then I'm a couch flipper. And then now I'm a golf guy. And like, it's hard to be a partner with me knowing that, dude, I'm like so the opposite of you in that I'm like shiny object and like I just do it and I love it. And that's what brings me joy. And so I could see like it wouldn't be great to be a partner with me knowing that, you know, yeah, I'm going to work on this thing with you, but I'm also going to be working on a lot of other things. Like I can't give myself all to, you know, this one thing. And there's also a chance that, you know what, if this one thing's no longer like the best thing anymore and I don't really feel like that much passion about it, I'm either just going to be like, hey, like, let's just keep it running and it's all good for what it is. Or I'm going to be like, let's just kind of sell it and move on. It's no longer worth like paying attention to.
Yeah, it kind of runs its course, sort of.
Yeah, like the longest thing I've done is invest in real estate, you know? So I've been doing that over a decade. And then if I look at the second longest thing I've done, it's teach real estate. That's been 8 years now. And so it's like, yeah, I think I'm probably going to do that for a long time.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I think media, I'm probably going to do media for a really long time.
That might outlive real estate, huh?
What?
That might outlive real estate in your world.
For sure, right? Like, because I think I can do media in lots of things. I don't have to talk about real estate. In fact, I don't even like talking about real estate. So, like, you know,
glad I'm here.
Yeah. So, you know, the golf thing's way more fun, you know? And I don't know. So I think like with a lot of things, just like me individually being so, I don't know what the proper word is, but a good term would be dynamic, just like always moving into, you know, lots of different things. It would be hard to be partnered with me on that front. And then just the fact that I think I am like such a opportunist. Like the moment I believe something is the best path going forward, I'm like, burn the boats. I'm like, this is the path.
Yeah.
These other things no longer make sense. And I'm ready to move forward with this path.
Yeah, that is dynamic. There's a lot there.
There's a lot. I'm a hard guy to be a partner with.
Speed, money loves speed. And we've done really well at that in micro ways, but we haven't changed gears heavily, quickly, like fast like that.
I am very fast.
Well, that's good, but
Yeah.
So like, let me give you an example. One of the guys who's probably the most aggressive operator was doing the wholesaling commercial for a while.
Yeah.
He did it for a couple of years. Market was hot. He's making a lot of money. And when the interest rate shot up, dude, he couldn't move anything. Every contract was getting canceled. And he was just like white knuckling, like, I'm going to fix this. We lost money 1 month. We had never come close to lose money. We lost money in a month again. By the third month, my CPA business partners over here like fuming. They're arguing and fighting. And I'm like, guys, I value you too way more than a couple bucks. Let's figure this out. Let's not have a business divorce during a financial time. And I remember going back to the CPA partner saying, look, it's going to take him a couple more months to get work through this, so he believes he can't fix it. He doesn't believe that yet.
Yeah.
Let him get through this. We might lose $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 doing this, but we've made millions together. Let him get there. When he does, he'll have learned it on his own, and we'll steer the ship a different direction, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm willing to lose another couple $100,000. It's all right.
Yeah.
And by being like kind of a middle ground mediator type for things like that, or being willing to let a younger business partner work through some of his troubles because I can see the big picture, that helped. Like, he's had bright, shiny object syndrome, and I've been okay with like letting him go down some different paths, just not too far.
Right.
But I mean, I look at it as like, I'm in business with these guys. Like, I don't care if I change interest in life. I'm not leaving my wife, and she ain't leaving me.
Right.
Well, me and some of the guys might have different ideas, but we're going to I look at it as I'm going to figure out how to make it work with them somehow.
Yeah.
So like in those businesses, I'm not that necessary anymore, but I've still got like resources that they don't have.
Yeah. I think part of my problem too is that in a lot of partnerships I started early on versus today is like, and this is what I see happen to a lot of partnerships too. So I know I'm not alone in this, but it becomes unequal, right? So, you're 50-50.
Big challenge.
And then it's now unequal in value. And, for me.
But how do you equalize that?
Right.
That's the key. Can you continue to equalize like you in your marriage?
Right. Well, I mean, but here's the thing in marriage, like, we don't need to be equal in marriage. Like for me,
example, sorry.
I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to do way more for my wife than she does for me. That's the mindset I want to take as a husband, as a servant, as all these things. So people are like, marriage is 50-50. I'm like, no, it's not. Marriage is 100-100. I'm going to give you everything I got. I hope she gives me everything she's got. And if my output is just so much more because I'm built this way to carry more as a man, then it should be. I shouldn't expect my wife to do more for me than I do for her. Like, that's stupid to think, even like accept that as a man.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. But like in a business partnership, for example, it's like all of a sudden, like, okay, so my social media blows up and we have distribution and all these things. And then, let's just, for example, say, I've spent millions of dollars building my brand, running ads, getting customers, all this stuff. And then we're going to go flow them to other businesses that didn't incur those same expenses and, all those things. And if we're 50-50, it's no longer fair. And that's a hard thing to break.
Then maybe you change it.
No, I know. And I've had those conversations before. We're like, hey, this is no longer like, I don't know what the right word is, but equitable, right?
Yeah.
Or kosher or whatever. But, even then, right? You then run into a different thing where it's like, okay, I feel like my value is in that I'm bringing so many customers and exposure and all this stuff, like, which is the most valuable thing in any business is deals and customers and all this. But, somebody else is the operator and they're like, well, I'm in the business.
And they're saying, I'm doing all the work all day long.
All the work.
You're not.
Right.
But you have leverage on your activities and they don't. So I've had conversations with some of those partners because there were times when I backed out and markets were changing and things were happening. They're like, I'm doing all the work.
Right.
And I've had to sit down and say, okay, well, let's just decide. Let's say we split this business up next month. Let's talk about what your next 6 months looks like. What do you do on month 1, month 2? And we walk through that. And because of
you can start to see who's got the value.
Right. But they also see, okay, they got to do in this land development deal that they otherwise would not have.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, this warehouse complex, like they're in those deals. So I've tried to balance that way.
And that's the thing too. It's
hard.
Like, you're going to get to be on stage in front of 1,000 people. You're going to be in front of millions of people. And so like, you're not doing that on your own. Right. And so for me anyways, at this point,
do you think you're better as a solo guy or do you think you're better with a partner?
This is the other hard part. Like, and this isn't to sound like arrogant or anything, but it's like in most cases, I feel like I can just do it without a partner. That's the problem too. I'm like, okay, like let's split. I'll just do it. Like, it's not, I'll hire somebody. I've got the capital to pay somebody really good. They'll operate it. They don't need to be a partner. I can pay them 6 figures. And
that's experience and confidence talking. So that means you really, if you're going to have a partner, you've got to have one that's willing to do something that you're unwilling to do.
They got a skill I don't have.
Yeah. Or they've got like some big opportunity or resource, or there's something.
Some open door that I don't have access to.
Right. So for me, I have the same feelings in that way, in a lot of ways, but there are also times where I say, I like to find an idea. I like to put something together. I like to build it, structure it, but I don't really want to run that thing forever. And which is why it's nice for these businesses been run for years by the guys.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking at invoices. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm looking at a financial report, and then I get a docket report that's like, shows me the key risks.
Yeah. Cause like even in my real estate business, I'm like you, I'm not in it, but you know, I don't have a partner. I just pay a COO.
Then you've done a good job hiring top management. See, I wasn't experienced enough to understand how to do that at the time, so I placed partners.
Yeah. Yeah, I've put good top management everywhere where I'm like, hey, you get paid really well. Do your thing. You'll get some percentage of the upside, but like, you know, if push comes to shove and like you no longer want to be here, and like we don't have any messy breakup.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that. All right, let me ask you this. I'm gonna turn this back around.
Okay.
So I'm always involved in like the legal field. You know, we've lobbied to deal with some of these laws in the last couple of years we didn't like, but I'm not heavily involved in wholesaling, but I've watched the updates. Everybody's got a new update about what in the world is going on and where is it going with the legal field and wholesaling regulations.
Well, bro, I don't pay attention either. Like I know that half these guys love making YouTube content around it. I literally could care less. I've never made a legal video about wholesaling or anything. I literally don't research it. Every time that I've ever researched it, it's because somebody else watched a video. They're like, Ryan, did you hear about this new law in freaking California or Texas or whatever? And I'm like, no, I haven't. Let me ask chat. And chat's like, yeah, this is what you can do. I'm like, cool. That's all I needed to know.
Chat, should I worry about it?
Yeah, like I really don't care. So yeah, I don't pay attention to it. I think kind of like you, I'm so focused on running my own business and my own personal legal problems and bad deals and whatever that I'm like, I ain't got time to worry about freaking what might happen.
Dude. Misallocation of resources, man.
Dude, I don't have time for any of that. My opinion, though, is that you'll always be able to buy low and sell high. So whether that be wholesale, whether that be double closing it, buying an interest, that's never going to go away. You'll just mechanically do it a different way if a law if.
Yeah. It's like that water that follows the path of least resistance. Like it's going to find a way some way.
Freaking deals will be done. Wholesaling will never stop.
I agree.
Like the idea of wholesaling, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Somebody gave me this old map of San Antonio from like 150 years ago. Or
Frick, was it even around?
30. Yeah, it was old. Oh,
how old
we're
is
a super old county.
Really?
Super old. My old office was built in 1883 and they were developing downtown by then. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I saw a land, tax loans, and some kind of trading, an advertisement for this law firm that sounded a lot like they were doing what I do, but maybe on a smaller scale 130 years ago. And I realized, yeah, you're right. This ain't going away.
That was 130 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people all the time, they're like, how do you think AI is going to change stuff? And I'm like heavily into like watching how AI changes things.
Oh my goodness.
Because I think AI changes real estate like last, because real estate is just so freaking slow and outdated and all these things. But it is super important for everything else I do, you know, on media, events.
What are the
education.
biggest ways that you're seeing affect your other businesses? Like the top couple biggest, quickest?
Well, I'll get into that. But to finish the thought, like I tell people all the time, I'm like, guys, real estate is literally the first ever asset class created. God gave Adam land. And he's like, have dominion. Ever since then, you read all throughout the Bible, he gave Abraham land. He gives all these people land. You got Israel and Palestine still fighting over land that has been fought over for thousands of years. You know, it drives me crazy when people are like, it's freaking their land or this. I'm like, bro, this has been happening. It's none of their land. It's been happening for thousands of years and it keeps changing hands. That's what happens with real estate. It just keeps changing hands. And some people sometimes pay for it. Sometimes they kill each other for it. It just,
Fair.
that's what happens. The United States, how did we get this land? Well, we took it.
That's right.
Like, that's what happened. So anyways, real estate ain't going nowhere. AI is not changing the fact that people will transact and do all this stuff. That being said, as far as like AI and the rest of my things, it's super important because like right now, this is a digital thing that we are doing. And AI is first impacting the digital world quicker than the physical world. And so, you just like right now, I'm watching it every day with Sora, how quickly it's making these fake videos.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is like literally released a month ago. And I'm watching how rapidly it's improving. That's, okay, this is crazy. If you run an education business, which you now do, it's like, well, education is pretty worthless now when you really think about it, because chat and everyone's going to teach you instantly. They're going to know all Logan's content and be like, hey, you know what? How would Logan handle this deal? Boom. Like that for sure happens. And it's already there. And so if you think that education now becomes worthless, where does the world go when education's free, when AI's taking jobs, when you can't trust any content on the internet to know whether it's real or not? So I'm like thinking about a lot of big picture things because it affects everything I do in the digital space, which in turn affects my physical space. There's a lot.
Dude, those are big questions to answer.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I believe. I believe that I've multiple conclusions on some of these things. I believe that as the world becomes more digital and less trusting online, the physical and gatherings of people become more valued. So I think that we went from, there was no digital. So like, we want to learn something. We got to go in a classroom. We got to go to college. We got to, gather up to then all of a sudden, all this information became online, YouTube videos, courses, coaching groups, Zooms.
Yeah.
So now it's like freely available. When you can't trust it at that point, and when people are so digital, we always swing in the other direction. So then I think people start craving back the in-person stuff again, and kind of detaching from the digital. And so like when people start to go back to in-person, which they already are, but like even at a higher rate, what do they want? And so I'm a huge believer in live events in that way, especially not just for education to teach you something, but for the deal making, the relationship building, the fun, the experiences.
And that's the part you can't use AI for, the in-person
You'll never do it.
relationship.
Like my newest business, the golf business, M19. We just got back from Florida. 32 guys went. The best trip ever. We played 3 days of golf. We hung out, mastermind. They're all 7, 8, or 9 figure entrepreneurs. Every single one of them runs a business in some random field. And everyone's like, this is like the best group of guys ever. How could AI ever mess with that? And at that point, I look at myself and I say, if I'm so good at gathering groups of people together and nothing can ever compete with that digitally. Yeah, you can have an online group, whatever. Anyone can start an online group. But physically, that will never be replicated. And so I'm making a big bet on that.
Now leave that to the humans to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, I mean, humans been gathering physically since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
So you think like that's never going away.
Yeah,
like people think
fair.
The metaverse is like, this future, and it is. People are going to spend more time, watching streamers, being plugged in, watching YouTube, podcast, like for sure. But because of that, it's going to create the opposite effect too.
So you're still doing a lot. I noticed, I watched a podcast a while back. Gosh, who was it you were talking with? I can't remember now. And I wondered if you would veer away from doing in-person events because it was like an advertising guy or something.
Okay.
And I thought, is he going to go away and do more virtual? But I watched some other comments and I realized, no. You're still really pushing towards the in-person.
What I think becomes more virtual is like the teaching of tactics. So like, for example, if somebody wanted to learn, how to do what you do, they don't need to come live in person to learn it. You could totally teach them virtually and it's great.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
Yeah. They don't need to come in person, right? And so I think like a lot of maturity of teaching will be done virtually and all this stuff. And then, but I think it becomes less and less valuable. I think like before you could have charged $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for it. And then eventually it'll be 10 and then eventually it'll be 5. And it'll become less and less and less because chat and all these things will be able to do it for you. And in the years to come, you'll be able to say, chat, make me a Ryan bot.
Yeah.
Chat will. And chat could pull all my data from all of my YouTube videos ever created. Okay, I want Ryan as my personal mentor, and it's going to happen. And I will get paid nothing.
Dude.
That is the future. And I already know that. I'm not fighting against it. I know it will happen. So what can't AI and digital replace? Well, they can never replace what happens in person. For sure. And I have other theories too and things that I'm working on, but I'm like thinking years ahead. It's not here right now.
The crazy part is things move so quickly with technology. Is it years? Is it a year? How quick do those things happen? That's scary.
I think a year to do what I just said. But it won't be like a year before people devalue it and it's widely.
Yeah, that's some maturity in that.
Yeah. But it's technically possible now, right? You could go on chat right now and be like, hey, because I have so much data out there.
Yeah.
Hey, what would Ryan say about this?
Yeah, I think you also have to have a lot of users at that ability level to be able to pull that. And there are other things that are higher priority than copying maybe guys like us right now. But
For sure.
At some point, the users will get smart enough and the products will get good enough to where you don't have to be a sophisticated user. Boom.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I just think information is not valuable.
It's changing fast.
Yeah.
So when you got into real estate, how much was on YouTube?
Nothing. That's what I'm saying. Back in the day, dude, it was so hard to find information.
Yeah.
You had to go to a $50,000 seminar to get a basic information. And then I remember when Bigger Pockets came out, it was like revolutionary. I'm like, bro, like there's free like content of these people and they're talking about what they do. This is crazy. And then I would say around COVID, you started to see guys like really give high level information on YouTube and others things, like very tactical. Like,
everybody listened to Gary Vee and Alex Hormozi and said, I'll give more out.
Yep. And now, bro, like everyone knows everything about anything.
We're getting smarter, faster.
Very fast. And it's only going to accelerate. And now we have AI where not only can I consume information, but now I can get feedback with AI.
So that could change your education business more, but it might change your real estate transacting business less.
Yeah, that was my point. I think real estate's like very far from getting changed with AI because it's so physical. But everything else, dude, anything that's digital is changing really fast. And I think a lot of people are going to go out of business. I think a lot of people are going to not adapt to what's happening because they're going to, it's pride. Bro, I'm not doing that for this. You know, dude, when I started making YouTube videos in 2020 and TikToks, okay, nobody was doing it, especially in real estate. And I'm just like freely telling everybody what I'm doing. Everyone's like, why would you tell people, like make them pay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, like I think this is the future.
You're right.
And here we are. And I'm like, they still will pay. Even when you tell them that they will still pay and do other things.
Helping them do it is still valuable.
Yeah. And even if they never pay, they'll tell their friend about it.
Mm-hmm. You know, 10 years ago, when we pull a foreclosure list, we would have no data, no real information. That was very limited at the time. Today, we've got programs that scrape data, piece it together, run it through Salesforce, and then give us priorities of what is a better deal and what's not. And it can do a lot of back research.
Yeah.
And I thought it would absolutely not affect this part of real estate at all, but it still does take a human to make a deal work, it seems like.
Yeah, for sure. Well, bro, it's been great finally getting you on and chatting with you about it. It's super cool what you're doing. And where can people find you?
Instagram, Facebook. If you go to loganfullmer.com, most of my stuff is there.
Cool. And is that 2 L's?
Fullmer, yeah.
There we go. loganfullmer.com. Guys, go check them out. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.